Brewers fans coming to Miller Park by the busloads today. The roof is closed on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon as we get set for the rubber game between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pirates. The first two games have been split so far. Hi again, everyone. With Bob Walk, I'm Tim Neverett. Robbie Ince-Mikowski will join us shortly. The Pirates' record not exactly where they want it to be right now, Bob, but so is today an important game for them?
Well, it certainly is. Everybody wanted to get off to a quicker start this year than last year, and after getting swept in Cincinnati, you certainly would like to bounce back and have a winning series here in Milwaukee. All comes down to this afternoon.
Francisco Liriano was due to start. He's on the paternity list, so 24-year-old Casey Sadler, who made 6 appearances in relief with the Pirates last year, gets his first big league start today.
Well, you see what he did at Indy last year. Great job as a starting pitcher. Pitched a lot in spring training as a starter. You knew he was going to be the first one called up.
So Sadler going today for Liriano. Liriano in Miami. Robbie's got more on that.
Tim, Liriano spent the past 3 days on the paternity list. Today he's flying from Miami back to Pittsburgh, and that is because of the birth of his 4th child. It's a brand new daughter. Her name is Natalie Liriano. Happy and healthy as we get a look at the Liriano family. 9 pounds, 7 ounces. Natalie joins her older sister Natasha and brothers Kevin and Francisco. So congratulations to Francisco and Johanna Liriano on the birth of their 4th child. Tim, he's going to make his next scheduled start on Wednesday at home against Detroit.
We'll have to wait a little while to see if his new daughter's a lefty like he is. But today it's Casey Sadler going for the Bucks. He will oppose veteran Kyle Loesch of the Brewers. Pirates looking to win the series and head home on a high note. The Pirates and the Brewers, first pitch from Miller Park coming up. And the Brewers getting set for game 3 of this 3-game set. And 36-year-old Kyle Loesch, 15-year Major League veteran, gets the start today. His 2nd start of the season. His first start on opening day against Colorado wasn't very good. 8 earned runs allowed. His ERA after 1 start, 21.60, but he has had success against the Pirates, going 11-3.
Well, he also had a very poor start coming out of spring training. Just really a bad start there against the Cubs. So right now he can't be real confident. He's got to be a little doubt in his mind when he takes the mound this afternoon. So I don't think we're going to see the same Kyle Lohse. At least I hope we don't. It's pitched so well against us in the past.
Kyle Lohse, Casey Sadler. That's the pitching matchup. Let's go back to Pittsburgh right now. Paul Alexander is standing by with a State Farm game break.
Brought to you by Toyota. Toyota helps you get the most out of your drive. Just ask a friend who drives one. Toyota, let's go places. By Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks.
A couple of well-dressed fans here at the ballpark getting set to watch the Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 3 of this three-game set. Sofield, he's all excited. Third base coach. As we get ready for this pregame in-dugout ceremonies that happen every game, the handshakes and whatnot. Let's take a look at the lineup brought to you by Toyota. Different looking lineup today for the Pirates. Gregory Polanco will lead off. Jordy Mercer bats second. Andrew McCutchen back in the lineup today, hitting third. Neil Walker cleanup. Starling Marte fifth. Pedro Alvarez so far this season hitting .313, 5 for 16 with a pair of home runs and 4 runs batted in. Jung Ho Kang makes his second consecutive start, this time his first start at third base. Tony Sanchez catches while Casey Sadler does the pitching and will bat ninth. And Gregory Polanco in that leadoff spot. In game 1 he had a tough night, struck out 4 times, but Clint Hurdle feels that they want to see him in that leadoff spot from time to time and see how he does. And with Josh Harrison sitting this one out today, Polanco was the choice to bat first.
Hey, you're kind of limited as far as your typical leadoff type guy, somebody with speed that can run. And putting a lefty up there against Loesch, good idea.
Numbers on Kyle Loesch last year, 13-9.
He is your basic 4-pitch type guy: fastball, slider, curveball, change. But none of those 4 pitches are really an eye-popping pitch. Not a hard thrower. He needs to command at least 2 of them. Normally, he likes going fastball, changeup. Those are the best. He had some problems with left-hand hitters in the second half of last season. They really made a big jump in their numbers. See how that continues on, and maybe we'll see some of that trouble with left-hand hitters right here with the very first guy, Polanco.
Polanco takes strike 1, and we're underway. One of the things that we understand about his first start against Colorado is that Loesch didn't throw inside very much. He was middle of the plate to the outer half. Polanco behind in the count 0-2.
When your stuff is fastball in the high 80s, and nothing really all that great, you have to have command of a couple of different pitches, and one of them should always be your fastball. You got to be able to throw inside.
Ball and 2 strikes to Gregory. 4 out of 18 on the season. Kyle Loesch delivers 1-2. Strikes him out. And Gregory's been having an issue over his last couple of starts with the swings and misses.
Everybody. It's contagious.
Down the middle.
I mean, right down the middle.
So now Jordy Mercer will get in there. Jordy didn't play last night. Jung Ho Kang played shortstop instead. Strike call. Jordy hitting toward the top of the order today. We've seen Jordy hitting in the 8th spot more often. 1 ball, 1 strike. 68 degrees inside. 66 degrees outside. Roof is closed here. 2-degree difference inside to outside. Two balls and a strike now to Jordy Mercer. Stadium enclosed today. It has been this entire series. 2-1 pitch. And Jordy lifts this one in the air, foul down the right field side. That'll make the seats. It'll be strike 2, 2-2.
I wonder, with Loesch not being a hard thrower, if we can get away from those strikeouts this afternoon.
Pirates have struck out 23 times over the first 2 games of this series. 11 times last night. 2-2. And on the ground to the left side, Aramis Ramirez. Throws to Adam Lind, and Mercer is out. 2 men out for the Pirates in the top half of the first inning. Check the Brewers defensively, presented by Honda. Chris Davis, Carlos Gomez, Ryan Braun in the outfield. Ramirez, Segura, Hector Gomez at second base. Adam Lind is at first with Martin Maldonado doing the catching today. Maldonado is in. Lucroy caught the first 2 games of the series on the bench to start the game. And Andrew McCutchen took last night off. Hits one down to third. Backhanded stab by Ramirez. Long throw to first, and Kutch is out. What a play by Aramis Ramirez. Pirates gone in order in the top half of the first inning. Pirates nothing. Brewers coming to bat to face Casey Sadler when we return. Coming up against Casey Sadler, Carlos Gomez will lead off. The Brewers lineup is brought to you by Honda. Gene Segura bats second, Ryan Braun third. Adam Lind, who came over from Toronto, 9 hits in his first 5 games with Milwaukee, ties a record set by Paul Molitor and Dave Parker. Parker did that in 1990. Ramos Ramirez, Chris Davis, Martin Maldonado bats 7th, Hector Gomez 8th, and the pitcher Kyle Loesch will bat 9 against 24-year-old right-hander Casey Sadler.
Yeah, Casey's got some decent stuff. The thing that I think is really what I like about him is he has no fear as far as throwing the ball to the strike zone. He's got a nice quick slider that he uses, and hopefully he'll be able to locate the fastball in that slider this afternoon and handle this potentially pretty good lineup that the Brewers throw at you night after night.
Carlos Gomez takes ball 1. Gomez last night 1 for 4 with an RBI double. And bounces it to third. Jung Ho Kang is there. 1 out. Hot corner seems to be hot early in the game. Ramirez had 2 plays over there. Now Jung Ho's got one. His first career start at third base, made his first major league start last night at shortstop.
We talked earlier just a little bit there in the open about Casey getting a lot of starts in spring training. You could really tell that the Pirates ace play would break off the mound.
Segura popping up the bunt, and there's 2 away.
You could tell the Pirates, after what he did at AAA last year with his starts, really got a lot of confidence in him. Was going to be one of the first guys to get a chance as they needed someone for that rotation.
The Brewers had it in mind to test out Jung Ho Kang playing the bunt, but Segura popped it up. Now Sadler will face Ryan Braun. Hitting just 200 so far in the season. Went 0 for 3 with a walk last night.
Sadler trying to just nip the outside corner with a little 2-seamer. Started off the plate and let it work its way back.
Jimmy Nelson had a great game last night, the pitcher. His first start of the season. Brewers are very high on Nelson. Nelson went 7 last night, struck out a career high 9. Gave up just 2 hits, walked 2.
Yeah, he is their big prospect pitching wise. He was pitcher of the year, wasn't he, in the PCL last year? Has a pretty darn good fastball, but really a great curveball that he can really rack up some strikeouts. That reminded me a little bit of a pitcher that was here for years in Milwaukee, Ben Sheets. A good hook. Swing and miss pitch.
1-2 pitch. And Braun fouls it off. And Nelson had a lot of movement on his fastball. He added a slower curveball in the offseason. It really worked effectively in his first start last night. Clint Hurdle telling me earlier today that the video they had on Nelson, they didn't have anything like that. They didn't have the curveball. And so the first time they saw it was last night. 1-2 fouled back.
Well, he had a good one.
Primarily fastball slider guy, but added in the big hook, and especially to the left-handed hitters, guys had a little trouble with it. 2 outs, base is empty. 1 ball, 2 strike pitch to Braun. And just chops this one foul back to the screen. Sadler has faced the Brewers just once before. He was in a relief stint last year. Vance Worley on the wrong end of the decision last night. Vance ended up going 6 1/3, struck out 4, gave up 6 earned runs, 7 hits. 1-2. Strike 3. Braun strikes out, and Sadler retires the Brewers in order in the bottom of the first inning. No score as we head to the second.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Malibu and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Neil Walker leads off the second inning. No score. Pirates fans scattered around Miller Park today. Third game of this three-game series. And tomorrow back to Neil's hometown for the home opener. Looking forward to that. Tomorrow against the Tigers. Some business at hand to take care of. As Neil will take strike one. It's been a long time since somebody like Neil or you or I have been home. Right from spring training, straight on the road. Strike two to Walker. Of course, Neil's been down in Florida since I believe sometime in January.
Lowe's really doing a good job so far of locating this pitcher, especially that fastball.
And Neil hits it on the ground to Lynn. Backhanded. Steps in the bag for out number one.
Right up stairs with that 0-2 pitch.
Rivers Casino tips to win, Bob. What do you
Now
have?
put the ball in play. We've already talked about all the strikeouts. They've only had one game so far where they haven't been in double figures in strikeouts. Got to stop that. At least cut down on it and get some balls out there and play. And of course, you get more base hits if you do that. And I'm calling for a big day for Pedro. He seems to be one of our better guys right now as far as staying back. A real good approach, quick short swing, driving the ball hard the other way. Loves to hit in this ballpark. I'm hoping Pedro does some damage this afternoon.
Pedro waits on deck. Starling Marte at the plate. Nothing in one to Starling. Started in center field last night. 1 for 2 with a walk.
Well, Lowe's right now, he's just painting with everything he's throwing. The breaking balls, the fastballs, just throwing darts with them. But that's what he has to do. He's not a stuff guy. He's got to pitch.
Pitch in the dirt. Marte hits well in this ballpark, by the way. 8 for his last 16 in his last 5 games here, including a long home run he hit Friday night. One ball and 2 strikes to Starling. Career a .310 hitter here. 16 games. Takes strike 3.
Again, paint. The way he is locating that fastball and the breaking pitch. Everything is down and way off the plate this at bat to Marte, and then he finally comes back and just touches the edge of the strike zone with the fastball. I mean, you talk about commanding your pitches. That's doing it.
2 men out, base is empty. Loesch will face Pedro Alvarez. Third ball for a strike. Pedro for 2 last night with a walk.
Pound one, Pedro. The glove, Maldonado's glove didn't move at all. He set it out there and Loesch hit it. Look at the glove. Bang, right there.
0-2 pitch. And the glove didn't move, but the ball just off the plate.
No, that's where the glove was. It's a 0-2. You're not even trying to throw a strike. You're looking for a chase. Your backdoor slider is the call, and that's what he got right on the outside edge.
Nice strikeouts
pitching
for Loesch so far. We head to the bottom of the second. changer, one of the biggest home runs in Brewers history on April 19th, 1987. Rob Deere hit this 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth to tie the game at 4 against the Rangers. 3 batters later, Dale Swaim hit a walk-off home run to give the Brewers their 11th straight win to start the season. They'd make it 12 straight the next day. And it is Rob Deere bobblehead day today at the ballpark. Rob was here to throw out the first pitch. Rob Deere to hit the ball a mile.
He tried to on every swing.
He did.
He didn't back off. He could swing and miss too.
Sometimes he'd connect and sometimes he'd air condition the crowd.
Yeah. Tried to do one thing every swing.
Adam Lind has been very, very good so far for the Brewers. Came over to trade for Marco Estrada in the offseason. 9 hits so far for Lind. Sadler falls behind. 2 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch. There's a strike, 2-1. The most hits through 6 games is 10 in Brewers franchise history. He's 1 away from that. Jason Kendall, 2008. Dickie Thon, Damian Miller, Bobby Darwin. Guys he'd be tying if he gets a hit today. 3-1 pitch from Sadler to Lind. Fills up the count. Casey appeared against the Brewers on the 6th of June last year at PNC Park in relief. Ground ball towards second. Walker will throw him out. Pedro had to stay on the bag, and that throw just a little bit off. 4-3 the put out, 1 gone.
Nice little comeback there when he fell behind. Good 2-seam fastball, center. That's ground ball. Stretched by Pedro.
Ramos Ramirez. There's a strike. Ramirez hitting just 200 in the early going. And lifts this one right at Walker for out number 2.
You bring that 2-seamer up, get it off the knees, and then you use that little tail. Then you can run the ball in on right-hand hitters instead of tailing down. Tails in, and that's what happened there. He ended up catching Ramos right on the label of the bat. Ball goes nowhere.
Chris Davis, the left fielder, had a double last night. One of 3 Brewers, along with Lind and Segura, to hit in each game so far this season. Occasionally we'll see him with an aggressive approach. Likes to swing at the first pitch if it's nearby. You see that out of the Brewers, and Carlos Gomez particularly, the leadoff man. Ball and 1 strike. Now it's 1-2.
Sadler's thrown some nice changeups. A good one there. That strikeout pitch of Braun in the first inning. Good changeup. We're watching from the center field camera. You really can't tell any difference between the 2 pitches. Between the changeup and fastball, they have almost exact same movement. You have to look up in the corner and check out the speeds to really tell.
Bounced out of the glove of Tony Sanchez.
That was a fastball, just kind of took out. You don't expect the 2-seamer to be up there. Tony was looking for something down the way.
2-2 to Davis. That's 3-2. That one a little low. Casey's hoping for a good performance since he had to drive here from Indianapolis. And the 3-2 on the way. Walked it.
Well, way off that slider.
First base runner of the game belongs to the Brewers. Davis at first, and 2 men out. Catcher Martin Maldonado, the 7th hitter in the Brewers order up. Maldonado has not appeared in the series yet. In the dirt, good block by Tony. Stay put.
And always important with that runner at first base. Keep out of scoring position.
And the 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. 25 career hitter is Maldonado.
Sometimes that movement that you get makes it a little tough to control the fastball like you can if it's just dead straight. It's like having that little slice in your golf swing. You gotta account for it.
That's why you have to face away from the tee when you tee off. Three balls and 1 strike. That's how Greg does it. Play golf with Greg. The hole could be to the right. He'll face left. He'll get it there.
Sadler right now is not having this control of that fastball that he showed the very first inning out there. He was putting it pretty much where he wanted to. Not that he's being really wild with it right now, but it's almost like he can kind of throw it for a strike or not, but he really can't command it to one side of the plate or the other. Let's watch this. It's supposed to be a fastball outside corner.
Davis takes off and check swing roller.
He got it up there, out on the outside half of the plate, but it was an elevated pitch. That being about belt high.
You can get us on Twitter with the hashtag BucksBooth. Questions, comments, opinions.
A lot of times
Get some on the air.
When it's 3-2, especially early in the ball game, you're not trying to be exactly perfect fine with every pitch either. You want to throw a strike.
Ground ball up the middle. Mercer spinning, and he got him. Terrific play by Jordy Mercer, and a good play by Sadler to leave that ball alone up the middle and let Mercer take care of it. 2 innings done, and we're scoreless in Milwaukee as Jordy Mercer throws out Maldonado to end the second.
Yesterday was able to make his return to a place he spent 9 seasons, and earlier today discussed that return.
It was nice. I mean, most of my, some of my best memories are here, so it was fun. I mean, I thought I'd be more nervous than I was, just, coming back after a few years, but it was good. I mean, little ovation was nice, but just, like I said, seeing some of the coaches and guys, that was more than I needed, I think.
So very matter of fact with Corey Hart. Well, Tim?
Jung Ho Gung heading down to first base, and he's out. Ramos Ramirez hung in there, and a bullet hit down to him, and throws out Jung Ho Gung, who's still in search of his first major league hit. Robbie?
So Corey Hart, very matter of fact about his return. Obviously, he said more happy to see the coaches than anything else and a couple former teammates. But Hart had a great career here. Spent 9 seasons, was a 2-time All-Star back in 2008 and 2010. 997 career hits. I think Clint Hurdle and the rest of his teammates were kind of hoping he would get 1,000 here in Milwaukee. But unfortunately, he went 0 for 3. And who knows? Maybe he gets a chance later today. We'll see.
Yeah, he is third on the home run list here at this ballpark, behind Prince Fielder, Ryan Braun, who are tied, and then there's Corey Hart, 94. Good play by Aramis Ramirez to hang in there on a hot shot by Jung Ho Gung. Close play at first.
Well, it took Aramis a little bit of time to find that baseball. Got it by about half a step.
Tony Sanchez into right field, a base hit. Tony's first hit of the season after leading the team in batting average in spring training. So Tony aboard with 1 out. And this will bring up Casey Sadler for his first major league plate appearance.
A little bit of a high off speed pitch. Just a high changeup. Tony fought off a high changeup.
There you go. Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Sadler's going to try and move him to second now. They're trying to look around everybody, look around Loesch, see those signs.
Comes the 0-1 pitch. And a good bunt by Sadler. Nicely done. Sacrifice bunt is for first major league plate appearance.
You could see from that shot, that was exactly where he wanted to put it. There's no first baseman charging. Lay it down to that side. You've done your job. Sadler did just that.
Here's today's Allegheny Health Network injury update. Chris Stewart's rehab assignment's been transferred to AAA Indianapolis from AA, where he is expected to play today. Went 2 for 6 with a walk and a strikeout in 2 games at Altoona this week as he works his way back from a strained right hamstring. Meantime, Tony Sanchez at second base. Back to the top of the order, Gregory Polanco set to face Kyle Loesch. Loesch struck him out in the first. Got a backdoor curve that stayed outside. Want to know to Gregory. Loesch getting set to deliver. Trying to catch that back door with a breaking ball twice now, and he's missed.
Yeah, this one a little bit closer than the other one. It thought for a moment that might get called, but just a tad low.
Maldonado pick it up, try to frame it in the strike zone, but home plate umpire Toby Basner didn't buy it. 2-0. And there's a strike on the outside edge of the plate.
2-0 changeup at the call on Basner. Gave him one that time.
So far, we've seen Kyle Loesch just living on the outer half and outside.
Well, when you have good control like he has shown, you're gonna get some of those calls that are just off the plate like that last one was.
Polanco line shot. That's off the glove of Gomez into right field. Sanchez around third. Braun's throw to the plate. Sanchez slides. He's safe. And the Pirates on the board 1-0. Gregory Polanco with an RBI base hit. His second run batted in of the season.
Yeah, absolutely blistered this one, and it was a good thing that Gomez got a piece of it, knocked that ball down. This ball's hit so hard, it's going to get out to Braun almost immediately and might not be able to score Tony from second. But the ball got slowed down, deflected a little bit, and it was still a fairly close play at the plate.
Bucks on the board first. Jordy Mercer up. He grounded out to Ramirez at third in the first. Maldonado with a block, ball one.
You know, watching that replay, I wonder why Maldonado didn't at least try and make a tag.
Run you with Sanchez right now and see.
He caught the ball. Thought maybe he just had blocked it, but no, he caught it. Just as he was catching it, Polanco kind of bluffed like he was going to go to second base, and I think that caught Maldonado's eye, and so then he decided that no use trying to go for Tony, that he was going to score anyway, and he would just make sure that Polanco wouldn't go anywhere.
Mercer hits one to center field. Carlos Gomez there. He makes the catch. Pirates get a run on 2 hits. 1 man left through 2.5. 1-0 Pirates. Baseball, we're taking a look at some of the best and most frightening plays at home. Don't miss what occurs when a ball and 2 players meet at the same time on Inside Pirates Baseball. 10 great plays at the plate. Wednesday after postgame on Root Sports. 1-0 Pirates. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Hector Gomez, the second baseman, leads off. Kyle Loesch, and then the top of the order, Carlos Gomez. Gregory Polanco with an RBI base hit. Off the glove of Hector Gomez out into right field, scoring Tony Sanchez for the game's lone run so far. Hector Gomez, the game last night, he went 2 for 3, 2 doubles, a run batted in and a run scored. He takes a strike. Gomez in there for the 2nd straight game starting at second base. We've not seen Scooter Gennett, who's a left-handed hitter. You'd think would start against 2 right-handers, but he was ejected on Friday night after splintering his bat when he was called out on strikes. He just pounded it into the ground.
He had been really acting odd that whole night. Maybe an out earlier at first base where he went crazy at first, slammed his helmet down, and
he has not started 2 games since. Pitch outside, and the count is now 3-2. So Ron Renneke not having him in the lineup.
I'm just saying, control yourself a little bit.
Payoff pitch from Sadler. This one's ripped to left field. And Gomez around first. He'll be into second with his third double in 2 games.
Good location if you're a hitter. It's out over the plate, elevated a little bit. Marte, nice job of getting to it fairly quickly, barehanding it, but it's down in the corner like that. You're not going to stop somebody with any kind of speed from getting a double.
There's 3 hits on the year, all doubles. Kyle Loesch has an opportunity to get him to third base.
In this instance, he will want to put the ball toward third.
Strike 1 to Loesch.
Tried to, but couldn't do it.
Loesch is 1 for 1 on the year. He had a single off.
Pedro has nothing to do over at first base. But Gunn can't leave early because there's a runner at second, so he's got to stay back. So that's where you want to bunt the ball in this situation.
Pedro communicating with Jung Ho.
He's telling him if he bunts it, you got to go get it. Now, if they put the wheel play on, that's when you know that Gung is going to be charging if you're up there bunting like Loesch. Loesch is looking past the pitcher at the shortstop right now. That's his job. He's not going to be looking at Sadler. He's looking out there to see what Mercer does. If he sees Mercer break toward third, then he knows without looking that Gung is coming in, and so there's no place to bunt it to third. That's when you want to do the pull the bat back and swing when you see that.
Strike 2 to Loesch. Gomez off of second base, nobody out. Brewers batting in the bottom of the third. Pirates up 1-0. Loesch gets the bunt down third, and they're going to let it roll foul, and he'll strike out. Loesch out on strikes.
I always hated that walk back to the dugout when he failed to get a bunt down. So,
seems a little longer than normal, isn't it?
Well, it's just you feel like you didn't do your job, which you didn't. Maybe you kind of let everybody down. And that really is probably one of the easier bunts that you have when there is no wheel play, and you don't have to worry about killing the bunt, bunting it soft, anything like that. You're wanting to bunt it, in fact, a little bit firm and make the third baseman have to field it.
Gomez tried to hit it to Racine, as he will do on the first pitch many times. Make this attempt and lose his helmet.
Rob Deere must like to watch him swing. Be his favorite player.
Sadler's 0-1 pitch. And he connects this time, and the Brewers have a 2-1 lead.
Now, when that big swing hits the baseball, and it pays off with a long one.
First home run of the season for Carlos Gomez. RBIs 4 and 5 for him.
Sadler tries to elevate the two-seamer to go up on the hands. Just didn't quite get it in there far enough. It stayed out on the plate. And the head of the bat's on the ball instead of the label.
Gene Segura first ball swinging, one hopper to Mercer.
So that's almost the same pitch. It's just in just a little bit more. Instead of on the plate, it's actually off the plate, just a smidgen. And here's Gomez, and that ball is on the inner half of home plate, and it is crushed. But the next hitter up was Segura. They went right back to it. Throw that fastball in on the hands, and it got in there where it was supposed to and shattered the bat. fine line between success and failure, isn't it?
Sure is. Ryan Braun, the hitter. He's 0 for 1, struck out first time up. Look at these two teams, Bob, and how they've played since the 2013 season. They've been dead even. We talk about coming in here in years past and the Brewers having the upper hand, but just since the 2013 season, Brewers and the Pirates are 20-20 against each other in 40 head-to-head meetings. And the batting averages coming into the game today, dead even at .252. Pirates have out hit them and outscored them in the last 40 games they've played.
A couple of things happened over the last couple of years. The Pirates have really upgraded their pitching, and the Brewers lost some of their funk.
Base hit for Braun with 2 outs. Third hit of the inning off of Sadler. Braun is aboard. And coming to the plate to face Casey right now is the guy who has been the best hitter for the Brewers in the early part of the season, and Adam Lind. Strike on the inside corner. Oh, 1. And right there again for a called strike. And it's 0-2 to Lind. Two outs, 2 strikes. I'm going to throw over. Braun is back. Nothing in 2. Lind waits for the pitch from Sadler. Did he get him? The appeal down to third. Danny DeMuth says he didn't go.
Sadler put that one where he wanted. Tony said fastball and off the plate. Real good pitch.
One ball, 2 strikes to Adam Lind. Go to first.
One of the differences that Sadler will have to get used to at this level compared to the minor leagues and AAA is that there are more guys in that lineup at this level that can hurt you when you throw that one pitch maybe not exactly where you want it.
Struck him out.
Good slider down and in underneath the bat.
Brewers take the lead on a 2-run home run by Carlos Gomez. Receive a pair of Andrew McCutcheon socks, compliments of Highmark. Come early for the #1 Cochran Family Fun Zone on Federal Street. Stay after. Kids get to run the bases. Presented by the Original Pizza Logs. For tickets, go to pirates.com. Kutch leads off. Take a look at the UPMC scoreboard. And he changed it right there. Carlos Gomez. A 2-run homer. 429 feet. The estimated distance.
Seeing that shot. He's a Gold Glover.
Andrew McCutchen. 1 ball, no strikes. Kutch grounded out to third base his first time up. Sat out last night. And it's a little nubber right back to Loesch. 1 out. Kutch is 0 for 2. And we're off to a bit of a slow start.
It's had kind of a slower start the last couple of years. That was one of the reasons for having to really take it easy in spring training, is to see if we could get off to a little bit better start with the bat. He's always been a real good player down in Bradenton.
Appeared in just 11 Grapefruit League games. Walker pulls this one. Looks like it hit the bag. Lynn will step on it. Second time Walker's grounded out to Adam Lynn. Today's Barrel Automotive League leaders stat. Leaders in winning percentage in April since 2008. Kyle Loesch second on the list behind Zach Greinke. Jared Weaver, Adam Wainwright on the list as well. April's been a good month traditionally for Loesch, although he had a rough start on opening day against the Rockies. And Marte will take a strike.
I happened to have been watching that game, the spring train, his last spring start against the Cubs, and he got just torched in that game. Knocked out very early. I kind of was hoping that that one and then his first start against the Rockies would have a little hangover effect this afternoon, but he's pretty much throwing the ball where he wants to this point, control wise. Looks just fine.
Marte went around. 1-2 to Starling. Struck out looking in the second. 0 for 1. This one in play, but foul actually down the third base side. Right through the wickets.
He's hearing about it a little bit.
Oh,
too.
he is.
Some of the fans, I think,
Usually
give him a little holler.
Usually first round draft choices don't miss ground balls like this.
So it was an easy one there.
Sof was a first rounder of the Twins back in the day. Two and 2 to Marte. Glenn Hurdle and I chatted about Marte's 5th in the order today, so that's where he likes him. Last 2 months of the season last year really did a great job, but today he's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Pirates done in order in the top half of the 4th.
Well, there's a look at Scooter Gennett, and most guys relax on an off day and hang out with the family, but Scooter spent this past Thursday's off day in a way that I promise you no one else in baseball did. He got married on the off day, and he did it in the cave underneath the Miller Brewery, not far from the ballpark here. He told me they've had it under wraps for almost 3 months, and he just told his teammates a few days ago during their opening series against Colorado that he was doing it. Now, only 18 people attended the wedding. It was all close family and friends. His wife, Kelsey, is from Florida. She's not even from Milwaukee, but they didn't want to have to deal with any stress of planning a wedding during the baseball season. Well, Tim and Bob, that's certainly a unique way of putting an end to that stress, doing it on an off day after your baseball season starts, right?
That's certainly a different way to spend your off day.
In the cave.
It's not too far from the ballpark here where the brewery is. But I would say the last 2 days haven't been much of a honeymoon for Scooter on the bench after being ejected from Friday night's game.
You know, it came at a horrible time, too, because they'd already used the middle infielders in the game. So there was nobody to put in to play second base when he got ejected. I think that's another thing that kind of got him in the doghouse.
Well, they had to bring in Carlos Gomez from center field, who had never played second base before. So Ron Renneke was forced to use a guy who'd never played that position. Gomez does take ground balls at shortstop just for fun because he used to play some shortstop, but sometimes when they go with a 5-man infield, he'll come in. As Davis skies this one to left field. Marte with room. And there are 2 out.
That was up by the rafters.
Roof closed today. Not for sure to be open today. Usually they open it when it's 65 or higher, but it's 66 outside, and for whatever reason it's closed. I promise you tomorrow the roof will be open at PNC Park. In every game they ever play there. Maldonado.
It's going to be warm when we get home, isn't it?
Yeah. Be different.
I think somebody said that is it possible it could be in the 80s?
That wouldn't be bad.
I heard that today somewhere. 81 maybe?
I'll have to check. Haven't bothered to look at the extended forecast yet. Gorgeous outside though.
Just for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Too extended. They're all you're too slow.
Get your staff on it.
They're too slow. Yeah, it's 68 outside right now.
68 down. Nice. 3-1. Count is full to Maldonado.
Well, my weather staff says it's going to be 79 for a high.
Is that right? 79 for a high.
It'll be beautiful.
It ought to be a beautiful day on opening day. We hope it is. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Maldonado is out. Sadler strikes him out, and the Brewers are gone in order. We head to the 5th when we return. It's now part of the parking lot. Part of our this day in Pirates history from Day Automotive. 1955, former Pirates manager Chuck Tanner hit his first career home run. It came in his first career at bat. Pinch hitting for Warren Spahn on opening day for the Milwaukee Braves. This home run tied the game at 2 in the bottom of the 8th. The Braves would score 2 more in the inning and win 4-2. Chuck Tanner was one of 117 guys to have a home run in their first at bat in the major leagues. Pedro Alvarez, Jung Ho Kang, and Tony Sanchez face Kyle Lohse in the 5th. Pitch in the dirt for a ball. First guy in the modern era to hit a home run in his first at bat was Johnny Bates of the Boston Bean Eaters.
Long time ago.
April 12th, 1906. Also this day. Lohse not ready and decided to stop.
The first Pirate, was that back in the 20s?
1922. May 7th. Walter Mueller.
I think Walter was the first one ever to do it on the very first pitch he saw.
The Pittsburgh Pirate. Strike to Alvarez. I want to thank Bob Walk's research staff for that information.
Walter, by the way, 2 career home runs. One on the very first pitch he saw. I don't know when he hit the next one.
Maybe on the last pitch he saw.
Could be.
We don't know. Last guy to do it was last season on the 27th of August. Jorge Soler of the Cubs was the last guy to do it his first at bat. Starling Marte did it as a Pirate on the first pitch he saw June 26th, 2012. Marte knows what it's like. Did it in Houston at Minute Maid Park.
There must be some kind of feeling, especially when it's that first pitch. When you're running around the bases, what could possibly be going through your mind?
2-2, chop foul. Probably thinking, boy, that was easy. I want to get in the box and do it again.
Yeah, my next at bat.
Next at bat wasn't so easy. Two-ball, two-strike pitch. And Pedro down to first base. Adam Lind lost control of the ball, but Lohse is there. And Pedro is out.
Good job by Lohse. He's going over there. He's got his head up. He sees what's going on so that he can slow down and get himself under control and stay at the base instead of running through it. And normally you're going to run right through the base, but see him break it down, and he knew that he had to wait a while for that throw.
Jung Ho Kang is 0 for 1, grounded out to third. Looking for his first big league hit. Lots and lots of people following the progress of Jung Ho in Korea. His translator H.K. Kim was telling me yesterday about the fact that Korea has more smartphone users than any other country. And so most baseball fans there are following what Jung Ho is doing through social media and through news reports on their smartphones. There's HK. And they keep themselves very well informed. 3-0 pitch is in for a strike. Jung Ho, the first position player from the KBO to make the transition to the big leagues. Shin-Soo Choo never played in the KBO, came straight to the majors. And a ground ball toward the hole. Diving stop by Ramirez. And he throws him out again. Ramos Ramirez playing some defense this afternoon.
I'm looking over there at him. What I got to do to get one by that guy. Ramirez has been doing this for a long time, stealing hits from a lot of people. closing down a great career, really. When you look at everything he has done, his career stats. Heck of a third baseman.
Here's Tony Sanchez, 1 for 1 with a run scored.
Way up there on the home run list for third baseman for his career.
Pitch. And Tony up the middle of base hit. Sanchez 2 for 2. 2-out single for the Pirate catcher. MLB.com at bat. It is the #1 app for live baseball. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Sandler takes a ball. Good sacrifice bunt for Casey last time up. One ball and 1 strike. 24-year-old Casey Sadler out of the state of Oklahoma now resides near the Pirates spring training headquarters in Palmetto, Florida. Two and 1 to Casey. Bush is 2-1. And a bouncing ball towards short. Segura will toss to Hector Gomez for the force out. No runs, a hit, 1 left. Middle of the 5th. 2-1 Milwaukee.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network. Caring people, caring for you. And by Levin Mattress. Located in all Levin furniture showrooms and freestanding stores. Let's go Bucks!
2-1 Brewers. Bottom of the 5th. Each team with 3 hits. Check the UPMC scoreboard. On our first weekly edition of Inside Pirates Baseball, see why the Bucks may be equipped with the best offense in all of baseball. Hear Josh Harrison mic'd up during workouts, and much more to come. It's Inside Pirates Baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network, today after postgame on Root Sports. Brad Fisher, a Wisconsin native, talking with Clint Hurdle. Brad shares what would be bench coach duties with Dave Joust. As the Pirates don't have necessarily one coach they refer to as a bench coach, but the duties have been split up among the coaches. Casey Sadler will face Hector Gomez, the number 8 hitter. Gomez doubled and scored on the home run by Carlos Gomez in the 3rd inning. Ball 1 to Hector Gomez.
Yeah, trying to think back when like bench coach became a position on the staff. It happened sometime during my playing career. I can't really recall where the first official bench coach was. Might have been Bill Verdon when Jim Leyland got the job. Chuck Danner really didn't have a bench coach, and I can't really recall one in Atlanta or Philadelphia either.
Pulled hard and foul out of play for a long strike. Hector Gomez appeared in 15 games for the Brewers last year, and we're seeing that he likes to pull the ball some.
Well, if that's the case, it really tells you how to pitch him.
Right there, swing and a miss, and he's down on strikes.
Hold on.
Sadler with another strikeout.
You know, for me, that was really the only scouting report I cared about. And you kind of already knew that from most of the guys. What they did is he trying to pull you or hit the ball the other way. Just knowing that right there tells you a lot about how to pitch him. And the rest of it depends on the scoreboard, where you're at, what inning it is, what's the score, 2 runs up, 2 runs back, are there anybody on base, all that kind of stuff goes into what you need to do. But the most important thing is you got a pull hitter up there, or will he go the other way? In what situations will he go the other way? Because guys will change a little bit as they hit. As a pitcher, you're not the only one looking at that scoreboard. You know, the hitters are looking up there too, and they know what it is they need to try and do.
Sadler's 1-2 to Loesch. Comebacker. Casey takes his time and throws out Loesch. 2 gone. Here's Carlos Gomez coming to the plate. Gomez can be a little entertaining when he goes up there. He seems to be a fan of Michael Jackson. Last time up, in each of the last 2 nights, he's done a Michael Jackson dance move. Of course, he doesn't do it this time. Maybe he was on to us. For 2. He hit a long home run in the 3rd inning.
Looks like they're trying to stay away from him now. First pitch right on the outside edge. Just because he hit one inside out of the ballpark, it doesn't mean you can't ever go back in there again. You just have to pick your spots, and hopefully you're heading the count when you're not trying to throw a strike, where you can throw it off the plate inside, like now.
No balls and 2 strikes, 2 down, bases empty. Who's bringing the lumber? Well, just by Yellowwood. Carlos Gomez brought the lumber. Took 2 good hacks in that at bat. He swung and missed the first one, went back after it, and knocked it out of the yard. He tries to do it again, and Marte looks at it, and it is off the wall. Gomez around first, and he'll be into second with a 2-out double.
Well, they tried to continue to work away from him. That last pitch wasn't away, though. It was pretty much right down the middle. Yeah, they're trying to go inside. I take that back. That was a slider, though, it looked like. Odd pitch to try and throw on the inside part of the plate. A 2-strike count.
Gomez into second base with his 3rd double of the year. It's 2 for 3 today. 2-1 Brewers, 2 down in the 5th. Here's Gene Segura. Segura homered in last night's game. He's 0 for 2. here this afternoon. Pitch is low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Really had a great year with the bat. His first year as a Brewer. Not so much last year. I'm hoping he'll get a little more offense out of him.
Pickoff attempt. At his back. Walker slapping the tag on him. Between the 2 and 7.
Helmet comes off even when he slides. Might just be a little loose.
Strike called to Segura. Won't be long before the Pirates and Brewers meet up again via PNC Park next weekend. Detroit comes in tomorrow for a 3-game set. Opening day tomorrow. Oh, they've got Carlos Gomez hung up. And Jordy Mercer running him toward Jung Ho, and Jordy's going to tag him out. Why he's going there, you don't know. 2 outs, he's already in scoring position.
I got an idea.
Decided to take third base for some reason.
Well, obviously he has no faith that Segura can get a base hit, and thought the only chance he had to score was maybe to steal third with 2 outs and perhaps scoring a wild pitch or something.
When you see guys do it, it's usually because the third baseman is playing way back, but Jung Ho Kang was not.
It didn't make any difference. There's 2 outs. That's a foolish play. You have a guy hitting .350 at the plate. There's 2 outs. You get a base hit, you get another run, and just not using his head.
So here is Gregory Polanco, top of the order for the Pirates to start the 6th. Hopefully the Bucks can make that hurt a little bit. Polanco 1 for 2 with a run batted in. Singled off the glove of Hector Gomez, the second baseman, who was diving to try to get the baseball. This time he goes the other way. Chris Davis back after it. Davis leaps. He won't get it. And Polanco will be into second base. But Gregory going the other way, and the Pirates have the tying run in scoring position and nobody out.
Hey, Davis not happy with himself. I think he had that in his glove. Polanco really driving this ball the other way hard. I think he did have it for a moment. No, just he got the glove on it, but he never really had it. Just went off the end of his glove.
First double of the season for Polanco. Jordy Mercer a chance to get him around. Mercer lined out sharply to center last time up. Watch the swing.
So what you got to do when they're painting you away is you got to figure out a way to get out there and drive it that direction. You can pay the price for living outside.
1-0 pitch to Mercer. And Jordy goes to right field. Polanco's going to be held at third. Braun guns it into Lynn, the cutoff man. Nobody out. Runners at the corners. Back-to-back hits. Polanco and now Mercer. Jordy's 1 for 3.
And we talk about hitters giving themselves up to try and move the runner to third by going the other way. But that doesn't mean you're really giving yourself up. You're still trying to get a base hit, but you're trying to get it the other direction so that if you do happen to make an out, at least it's a positive out and you move Polanco to third. And that was the case there. Jordy really committed to hitting the ball to right field, and was it good enough with his execution to not only get it to right but hit a line drive over there.
Andrew McCutchen's due. He's 0 for 2 today. First and third, nobody out, and Koch hammers one right center field and deep. Way back it goes. The Pirates back in front. A 3-run home run. Andrew McCutchen into the Pirate bullpen, and Koch has home run number 2.
Now, Koch normally hits Loesch very well, and with that swing there, it has continued. Pirates up by a couple of runs now, perhaps going to put a little bit of a hurting on Loesch's April numbers.
5 RBIs now for McCutchen on the season.
The Pirates are really taking what Loesch has given them now. Polanco's hit. That ball that was right on the outside corner, just ticking the corner, and he went the other way hard. And here you see the same exact thing, a little breaking ball, just actually off the plate away by about ½ inch. And Koch hits it the other direction very hard into the bullpen.
McCutchen with 2 home runs this month. 4-2 Pirates. Still nobody out. Chance to start again. Walker strikes out looking. He's 0 for 3. This one get out of here in a hurry.
Yeah, it's not very high. That's almost just a high line drive. He smoked it. When you see Koch, he's not this real big, tall guy at all, and it just amazes you with his bat speed, the distance he can hit the ball to all fields with.
Marte yanks this one foul. Andrew McCutchen. As we mentioned, he hits Loesch well. Also hits well at this park. Marte fouls it back. Now, why is that, Bob? I know you probably had certain parts that you felt you pitched better in than others. You look forward to going to a certain park because you had good games there in the past. But hitters seem to have the same situation sometimes. They say, oh, I like going to this particular park because I hit well there, whichever one that is. And in McCutchen's case, it's this one and a few others.
Well, the hitters all tell you that, you know, the background. I see the ball well there. But it's a little bit more than that. This is a hitter's ballpark. I mean, if you're a good hitter, how can you not have good numbers here? And another thing that plays into it is the pitching. And, you know, I can remember back, you know, Milt May, when people would ask him, well, why is Dodger Stadium such a great hitter or a great pitcher's ballpark? And Milt used to say, well, look at the pitchers that they've had since they've come to L.A. I mean, how many Cy Young Award winners have they had? It's, you know, that kind of goes along with it too. The Dodgers for decades seem to always have the best pitching, and of course being in that ballpark helped them a little bit. It goes hand in hand, but it's not always just one little simple answer to why somebody hits really well in some place or why that ballpark is known as a hitter's park.
Braves looking forward to seeing McCutchen at PNC Park tomorrow, where he also hits well.
I imagine Kutcher's numbers in Cincinnati, where we just came from, are probably pretty darn good too.
Jared Hughes getting ready to come in. And Marte hit by the pitch.
He almost kind of moved his elbow up in front of that one.
He's going to get hit a lot.
He's got that little pad on the elbow, which really helps him out, because he does get hit there an awful lot.
He didn't start wearing that until last season.
Well, they were wearing out that arm of his. Watch where he moves. He kind of moved it down. But that was basically after it got hurt. Yeah, he didn't move it down out of the way until after the ball hit him.
So he wears a pad on the top of his hand as well. He's been hit there a number of times too.
Yeah, that's really the dangerous spot. That's where you definitely want to have some kind of a protection, because so many guys can get hit on the back of that left hand and break one of the little bones, and you're out for a month and a half.
Pedro's 0 for 2. Marte on for first.
Also, where's the oven mitt?
The oven mitt is back this year.
More protection when he's running the bases.
And there goes Marte. Had a late jump. And he was safe, but tagged on the overslide.
It was almost like he was trying to delay steal, but you only do delay steals with 2 outs. You don't delay steal with nobody out or 1 out. Sure what that was all about.
Dave Joust trying to give Clint the word whether or not they want to look at this.
He tried a delay steal. I don't get that. Why would you delay steal with 1 out?
Segura missed the tag the first time. The second time umpire Mike Estabrook called him out. So there's a miss there. Does he miss him here? Well, does he get his hand back before he's actually tagged? Apparently he did not, so Pirates will not challenge it, and Pedro's up there with 2 outs and a 1-1 count.
Explain real quick about the outs there. The reason you do it with 2 outs is because the middle infielders aren't in double play position. They're back on the grass, and the delay steal is meant to beat the infielder to the bag. Now, when there's 1 out or nobody out, they're in close to the bag looking for a double play. You're never going to beat them.
Allegheny Health Network Supermo, you see the very end of the play. Well, it looks like he got his hand on there before he was tagged, at least from that angle.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was safe from that angle.
And Pedro, ground ball right back to Loesch. A 3-run home run by Andrew McCutchen. 3 hits in the inning. Kyle Loesch and the Brewers now behind. It's the Pirates 4, Brewers 2. Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, Tigers off to a tremendous start. Hopefully McCutchen and the Pirates can put an end to that starting tomorrow. Jared Hughes is on after 5 innings of Casey Sadler. Casey gave the Pirates what they needed. Jared Hughes comes in with a 2-run lead to pitch in the bottom of the 6th. There was a strike to Gene Segura. Seeing more multiple inning outings out of Jared now.
Yeah, last year he was kind of the 2/3 of an inning guy. Come in to get out of an inning, roll a double play ball, something like that.
Jared, a sinker baller, likes to get the ground ball out. 0-2 to Segura. Struck him out. 3 pitches.
Stuff-wise, it's going to be very similar to Sadler throws. Without the changeup. Location on that pitch. Get you 2 strikes. Hit it off the plate by. That one ended up being probably a foot off the plate.
The Point Park University tweets talking about Andrew McCutchen's home run. See him scrolling at the bottom of your screen now. Ryan Braun takes a ball. Hutch has him talking. Want to know to Braun. 1 ball and 1 strike. Go far to the opposite field, and it's always nice to see him at PNC put it out over that 375 mark. Right center, which he's done a number of times. Such power going the other way. 2-1. For 2 today for Braun. Balls, 2 strikes.
And Milwaukee able to kind of dodge a bullet with the Braun injury. To take himself out of the ball game because of soreness in his ribs.
So against Colorado in the first series.
I'm sure that a lot of people expecting the worst. Braun's had that trouble before in a significant time.
Full count to Ryan Braun. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Lind waits on deck. 1 out, Milwaukee, half of the 6th. Payoff pitch from Jared. To right field. Polanco over toward the line, makes the catch. 2 out. Gregory covering some ground up right. Like his confidence is back at the plate. After striking out 4 times on Friday night, Polanco did not start last night, but that was by design. It was not anything to do with his performance on Friday night. Clint Hurdle told me yesterday that they had already predetermined the lineup for Game 2 in that series a few days ahead of time. And Corey Hart was going to start in that game in right field. It didn't have anything to do with his performance. At times it will if a guy really is struggling. But that was not the case for Polanco after Friday's game. 1-1 to Lind.
Everybody that sits on that bench needs to get a start occasionally. Put 3 or 4 at bats together.
Sean Rodriguez, who doesn't necessarily start but seems to play every game. We've seen him late in games take over for Pedro. They're very happy with his defense at first base. There will be times when Pedro stays in if they need a big swing, depending on the score of the game. But, you'll see Sean Rodriguez late in the game at first. He can play anywhere. I think we saw him play just about every position except pitcher and catcher in spring training. 3 ball 1 strike pitch. That's ball 4, and Linda's aboard. 2 out walk. Sherridge keeping tabs on what Jared's up to.
He writes something down after every single pitch.
See that multicolored pen that he uses? He's always got one of those. His own system, colors, different colors mean different things.
It's a code.
Ramirez, a ground ball. Walker gets there. And that's it for the 6th. Brewers leave a man. We're on to the 7th inning. Pirates 4, Milwaukee 2. At PNC Park, watch the Bucks take on the Brewers at 7:05. Stay after for an amazing Zambelli fireworks show, courtesy of First Energy Solutions. Plus, every Saturday is an Eden Park Scratch and Win Saturday. For tickets, go to Pirates.com. Big weekend coming up at PNC Park. Fireworks on Saturday. Here's Jung Ho Kang. He takes a strike from Kyle Loesch. Kang has grounded out twice to Aramis Ramirez at third. 4-2 Pirates as we start the 7th inning. Started at short last night, at third today. Harrison getting a break and fouled off. Might have had his first major league hit in the 5th inning, but Aramis Ramirez robbed him. Made a great play going to his left and laid out for a ball, got up and threw him out. One, two. No fouls it back. Jung Ho Kang with the Nexen Heroes for 7 seasons in Korea. Participated internationally in 2010, the World Baseball Classic. Played third base for that team. Traditionally played shortstop in Korea. And lobs one towards center field. There's his first major league hit. A base hit for Jung Ho Kang. And his bat died a winner.
Well, the first couple times up, hit the ball well. This one, he ends up chasing a breaking ball well out of the strike zone, but able to get enough of it to get it out to the outfield for the base hit. What's the location on that one? Just got it on maybe the last inch of the bat. Enough bat speed, though, strong enough to lift it out to the outfield.
Kang at first base and Tony Sanchez at the plate. He's 2 for 2. And Tony is 3 for 3. Back-to-back singles to start the 7th. Sanchez with 3 base hits.
Loesch up 8 hits now. 5+ innings of work.
White Park University tweet at #BucksBooth. Sanchez has to be our most improved player. He's making a push to be the everyday catcher. That's what CMark46 wanted to say.
Certainly is doing a lot with the bat right now. Had a great spring with it. 3 knocks today.
That's a career high for him in a single game. You know, Tony's first hit was in Anaheim 2 seasons ago, and it stuck in the scoreboard. They had to get a ladder between innings to get the ball. He got it. And down in Florida, I asked Tony if he still had the baseball, and he said no. I said, oh, what happened to it? He said, I don't know. He lost it while moving, he said.
Good guy. Those guys are fun to root for. And, you know, it's not. There's never been any doubt about his hitting at all. That's when they called him up to make that West Coast trip. It was to be a designated hitter. They know he can hit.
So with 2 on and nobody out, bullpen gets activated. Jeremy Jeffress, the right-hander, Will Smith, the lefty, and Andrew Lambeau will pinch hit for Jared Hughes. Friday night, it was a situation where there was runners on base, and Hughes was going to work multiple innings. He came up and laid down a nice sacrifice. But Lambeau trying to get a big hit now instead of breaking ball in the dirt. Talked to Jared about that yesterday. He was excited about it. It was his first major league sacrifice.
Well, the bullpen guys very seldom get the chance to hit. No matter what they do, they get up to the plate. They love that.
Jung Ho Kang is at second base. Tony Sanchez at first. Nobody out. 4-2 Pirates in the 7th. Two and 0 to Andrew Lambeau. Lambeau looking for his first hit of the season. And his first opening day roster this year. Serves as the extra outfielder. Started in left field last night. 2 on, nobody out. Strike right at the bottom of the kneecaps.
Well, he must have real low kneecaps.
Halfway down his shins.
Very low kneecaps.
Well, they started his shoelaces apparently.
Not sure about that one.
2 balls and 1 strike. Got a call there. 15 years. He has been a major league pitcher. 142 and 129 his career record. Three and 1 to Lambeau. Pirates with 8 hits so far. And with 5 more, they would equal the number that they had against Loesch on the 27th of August of 2013, when Loesch gave up a career high 13 hits against the Pirates. Lambeau awaits the 3-1. That was full.
3-1 came off speed. This actually is the first pitch this at bat that he's had something in the strike zone, and it was barely in the strike zone.
Jared Hughes did his job on the hill. Faced 4 men, walked 1, struck out 1. A solid job in relief for Jared. 3-2 pitch. And a ground ball to the right side. Lynn will go to second. That's all they'll get. Lambeau reaches on a fielder's choice, and Jung Ho Kang down to third base. Sanchez forced out, 3-6. And that's going to do it for Kyle Lohse. Ron Renicky coming out to get him. So the Brewers starters all done. Pirates with 2 men on base, 1 out, and a 2-run lead. We'll take a break. Here comes the lefty Will Smith in to pitch for Milwaukee.
And may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Inside Miller Park with Bob Walk, I'm Tim Neverett. Robbie Smikowski with us also. 4 runs, 8 hits for the Pirates, 2 runs on 4 hits for the Brewers. This is the rubber game of a 3-game series. Left-hander Will Smith pitched to 1-2-3 8th inning last night, striking out 1. Making his 3rd appearance for the Brewers.
He might be in here just to pitch to one hitter. Just trying to get Polanco out. They would prefer Polanco not even get the ball put in play. Yeah, hard guy to double up. Lohse, the first few innings looked like he was really on his game. Control was outstanding, but as it ends up 6 1/3, and he's given up 4 runs and 8 hits. Chance to give up a couple more if Pirates can find a way to get at least one more base hit.
Gregory's had a good day at the plate.
Sack fly, something.
One upstairs for a ball. RBI singled in the 3rd inning. He doubled and scored in the 6th. Batting leadoff today. Maldonado had set up way outside. That's where it went. It's 2-0. Right now, Losche's ERA almost cut in half. He started after his first start with Colorado, had an ERA of over 21.
It's easy to cut that one in half.
It's down to 11.17. And depending if the Pirates get a couple more runs here, because both runners are his responsibility, it could go up more. Two and one now to Gregory. Jung Ho Kang over at third base, and at first Andrew Lambeau, 1 down. Pretty good pitch by Smith there, and Polanco let it go. Breaking ball in there, 2-2.
That really fooled the pitch location wise. not all that great, but they just fooled him. The break got Polanco all messed up. Thought that was going to be inside.
2-2. And you got Gregory to chase one that was way outside.
Should have hit the other one. Not that one.
Polanco strikes out for the second time today.
Smith throwing that breaking ball way outside, got the chase, and he did his job. Came in and got the lefty out.
Ron Runnick can make another switch. Smith will come out. And here comes Jeremy Jeffress. Right-hander to face Jordy Mercer. Top of the 7th inning, 2 on, 2 out. Pirates up 4-2. Take on the Milwaukee Brewers at 7:05 and be one of the first 20,000 through the gates. You'll receive a free Pirates t-shirt presented by Point Park University. For tickets, go to pirates.com/free shirt Friday. Need one there representing the Stars of Stars. Another pitcher on, Jeremy Jeffress. Top of the 7th, 2 out. Pirates up 4-2. And Jordy Mercer with runners at 1st and 3rd will face Jeffress.
4 games already from Jeffress. See if Mercer can pick up his teammate.
And Jordy lines one right to the shortstop, Gene Segura. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. It is stretch time in Milwaukee. Pirates leading the Milwaukee Brewers 4-2. With Bob Walk, I'm Tim Never. Robbie Innsmikowski with us as well. Gregory Polanco, 2 hits, an RBI, and Andrew McCutchen, the big blow, a 3-run home run in the 6th to give the Pirates the lead again. Brewers, Carlos Gomez with a 2-run homer in the 3rd, and Hector Gomez has a double and a run scored. Pirates trying to take this game and take the series. New pitcher in for the Pirates to start the bottom of the 7th inning. That is flame-throwing Archimedes Caminero. Hit 101 on the gun several times on Friday night here.
Yeah, he really has been impressive. I mean, nobody could really touch him in spring training. And the thing that I think everybody really likes the most is he hasn't been walking a lot of people. Just 1 base on balls through the whole spring camp.
That's it.
I mean, that's pretty impressive, because that's the thing that's always held him back. Obviously, he's got a great arm.
Facing Chris Davis, and whips it by him at 98 for starters. This is a high octane fastball that Caminero possesses. Davis walked and flied to left. Caminero's 0-1. Fouled off. Davis getting a piece of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. It was interesting Friday night too to listen to the groans of the fans and the sound the fans made when he lit up the scoreboard at 101 miles an hour. Caminero's 0-2 pitch to Davis. Up high. One of those pitchers that when you're in the ballpark you want to see him throw it and then quickly look at the scoreboard and see how fast it was. Tony Sanchez has to catch that high velocity stuff. 1-2 pitch, and trying to slider outside. When your slider's 93, people want to know what your fastball can get up to.
If you're throwing a 93 slider, you know that the fastball is high 90s.
Cammy shook him off, so he wanted the fastball there. Social media reached us during the early part of the game. At hashtag Bucks Booth. How will Jung Ho Kang's road to the major leagues influence Korean baseball in the future? I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
Well, that's your department there.
I think people will be interested in the major leagues. I don't know if it's going to mean that a number of players are going to come over, because keep in mind that Jung Ho was one of the stars of Korean baseball, one of the top players there, and it's taking him a while to transition into this situation here. Higher level of competition. 3-2, and he walked it.
They walked him and threw the ball far enough outside that it got to the backstop, and that's a little bit of a red flag when you see a ball that's wild on a ball 3 pitch. We were just talking about what the difference has been, is his ability not to walk anybody, to have that power fastball and throw it for strikes.
1 on and nobody out. Martin Maldonado to face Caminero.
That was his slider. As you can see, it's not really much of a break to it.
It has spin on it.
Yes.
That's about it.
And it's about 10 mile an hour. That one was 10 mile an hour slower than. You know what, though? That could have been the splitter.
Because he wants to have some separation, doesn't he?
Yeah, he throws a splitter also. That could have been a splitter he threw.
1-1 to Maldonado.
Sign for a slider.
That's a strike.
Yeah, and you can see it doesn't really move a whole lot.
Cement mixer.
A little bit of cut action to it. About it.
One and two to Maldonado.
Tony looking over at Brad, trying to get the signs.
He struck him out again through that spinner up there. Maldonado out on strikes, one gone.
Those signs that you were seeing, those aren't signs to throw this pitch right here. That was the split pitch. You see the grip, and that's why that movement that it did have is a down and in type movement.
But Super Bowl giving us a good look.
The signs that Brad gives the catcher are for the step offs, pitch outs, pickoff throws. Those are the signs that the catcher is looking for.
Ron Renicky will go to his bench. Brad Fisher riding it in. Go to a left-handed hitter, Scooter Gennett. Gennett will hit for Hector Gomez. Strike 98. 172 career as a pinch hitter. Started to see Gennett 2 seasons ago with the Brewers as he made his way through the Brewers system, and last year really supplanted the incumbent Ricky Weeks at second base. Weeks no longer here. 0-1. Foul off.
I think that might have been the splitter again. There's the signs again. Every time there's somebody on base before every pitch, the catcher must look over and find out what the bench wants to do, if anything.
Caminero will throw to first. Bring back Davis.
You talk about speed up rules. I've always thought that's one of the things that adds a couple of seconds to every pitch. As a pitcher, that's when it first started happening when I was playing. Came into the game, and there's so many times you're looking in, just like Caminero is there, and your catcher is looking in the dugout instead of giving you signs. And so you had to wait.
0-2. Oh, 99 again. Just getting a piece of it was Gennett. He stays alive. Was that something that was a bit of an adjustment for you? You weren't used to that when it first started happening?
Yeah, the adjustment was being told when to throw to first base. That was the adjustment. Normally, that had always been the pitcher's decision to do that, whenever he felt it was time to throw over there. And so now actually getting a sign to throw to first base is something I had to get used to. But now just because I didn't get a sign, it doesn't mean I wouldn't throw over there anyway. I still added my own.
Well, in Montreal, you threw over on your own a few times.
Well, that was
right?
for another reason. But you know what I mean. I mean, that was the one thing that you just, when it first started happening, you're not used to looking in and seeing throw to first, or the step off was something that would really sometimes irritate a pitcher. When you look in, you turn to hold the ball for a count of 5 and then step off.
1-2. Gennett lines one to right center field. A pinch hit single. And now the Brewers with one out at runners at first and second. The tying run is aboard.
Pretty good at bat. Fought off some quality pitches to stay alive. There's the splitter again. That's what he ended up hitting. You can see the movement is now down and a little bit away. Didn't quite run out of bat on that one. Well, good at bat for Jeanette. Get him out of the doghouse. I think AJ probably really liked what Jeanette did. Married in a cave. Batman would like that.
I guess so. And Hurdle checking on the bullpen right now. Going to get somebody up. Renicky has sent out a pinch hitter, and now Tony and Archimedes will discuss. Gerardo Parra. Tony Watson will get up. Four-2 Pirates, bottom of the 7th inning. Gerardo Parra has been somewhat of a utility man, played some first base in the spring. Typically he's been an outfielder throughout his career. 2 on, 1 out. Ball 1. 55 in his career as a pinch hitter, former Diamondback. Keeping a close eye on the men on base right now. 1-0 popped up. This will be playable. Jung Ho Gun looking up into the ceiling. It's an infield fly. He's automatically out.
Well, that was way up there. It just missed one of those big cables they have to hold everything together.
Well, the infield fly rule in effect, and there are 2 down. Well, that's not the easiest thing to look up into.
See those big cables that are going across? They've got right up there next to one of them. This is quite a structure, the way it has that, the way it opens up like kind of like a big fan. I can remember sitting over there in County Stadium watching them build this place beyond the outfield fence.
Carlos Gomez takes outside at 99. Two for 3 today for Gomez, a home run and a double. Now Caminero wants to get him to hit one on the ground somewhere. I'll throw a few past him. Pitch coming to Gomez. And that was past him at 99.
Gomez taking a big swing against the big fastball. It's an interesting matchup, isn't it? Coming right at him. He's cut it down a little. See that?
100 miles an hour. That's his first triple-digit pitch today.
Kept both hands on the bat the whole time.
Two on, 2 out. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Carlos Gomez. Another 100-mile-an-hour pitch. Has some affection for that bat, apparently. Garrett Cole will go tomorrow on opening day at home opposite Anibal Sanchez of the Tigers. There's the 1-2 pitch to Gomez. Foul back.
Spinners that time, and Gomez talked to himself a little bit. It would have been a much easier pitch to hit than those fastballs.
On the ground. Jung Ho's got it. They get the force out. And the Brewers come up empty. They leave 2. We'll head to the 8th. Pirates 4, Brewers 2. McCutchen with a big shot back in the 6th. 3-run homer. 4-2. Pirates with the lead. Archimedes Caminero rung up a couple in the triple digits. Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch. Tyler Thornburg comes on for the Brewers to pitch the top of the 8th. Third appearance of the season for Thornburg. Start with Andrew McCutchen. And Kutch goes to right center again and deep. Ryan Braun over will make the running catch. There's one down.
He's trying to put one again out there into that gap.
Scooter Gennett remains in the game, playing second base for Milwaukee. There's Neil Walker, 0 for 3 today. Strike to Neil. Walker went 0 for 3 last night. Pirates didn't send too many men to the plate last night. The number 3 hitter, and you only get 3 at bats in a 9-inning game. That's your indicator. The Pirates only sent 2 over the minimum to the plate last night. But today, a much different day. That's the name of the game in baseball. One day is completely different from the next. 0-2 foul back.
That's why the relievers, especially the closers, have to be able to, with short memories. It can be so different just 24 hours later. Day game after night game might not even be 24 hours.
0-2, bounce foul.
A long year, a lot of baseball.
Well, it'll be less than 24 hours before the Pirates are back at it again. Home opener tomorrow. And if you're planning on being there, if you're one of the many who will be there, make your plans to get down to the North Shore early. Remember, it's a weekday. As Walker puts this one in the air to right field and deep. Braun going back, still going back. Braun right at the wall makes the catch. Deep fly ball. The ballpark held it. Thornburg's been hit hard twice. There's 2 outs to show for it.
Braun did a nice job of getting back there early enough to where he could set his feet and even actually kind of move forward a little bit to make that catch. Neil thought he maybe had enough.
Breaking ball in for a strike. So if you've got tickets for opening day tomorrow, make sure you come down early to the North Shore. Park your vehicle so you don't have any issues if you decide to come right before game time. You might have an issue parking. Kind of the way it always is on opening day. Oh, 2 pitch foul off. Gates open 11:30 tomorrow. Federal Street will be I guess closed to traffic around 10 from any bridge.
Hey, get there early enough where you can really enjoy some of the stuff going on around the park. Be a wonderful day weather-wise.
Tony Watson ready to come pitch the bottom of the 8th. Yeah, just walking along the Allegheny from the Riverwalk area is beautiful on a nice day. 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Should be a great buzz around the North Shore tomorrow. Coach looking forward to the home opener. So is Garrett Cole, his first ever home opener. Will start in. After today's game, the Pirates are headed back home to host the Tigers. First game for PNC Park this season. Catch all the home opener action on Root Sports tomorrow starting at 12:30 with a special 1-hour Pirates pregame presented by WB Mason. Tomorrow, 12:30. All the festivities to it. And Marte strikes out for the 3rd time today. Tyler Thornburg retires the Pirates in order. Head to the bottom of the 8th, Tony Watson will come on to face the Brewers. Sports, Anibal Sanchez, Garrett Cole. That's the home opener. And then Tuesday night, A.J. Burnett returns to PNC Park. He will oppose Shane Green. And then Wednesday, Francisco Liriano slots back in the rotation there against Alfredo Simon, who was an all-star with the Reds last year. 4-2 Pirates, bottom of the 8th. And where Liriano's going to go back in the rotation is where Jeff Locke normally would be, but coming off paternity leave. Here's Tony Watson. Face Gene Segura, number 2 hitter in the order. 2, 3, and 4 for the Brewers. There's strike one. Tony had a tough one opening day in Cincinnati, but since then, it's a scoreless inning Wednesday night in Cincinnati, and then retired all 3 Reds he faced Thursday afternoon. And all National League left-handed relievers in ERA last year, 163. One and one. Segura's 0 for 3. In the air to right field. Polanco under it. 1 out.
Always some questions this time of year. You're never sure, but I think everybody's pretty confident that bullpen, guys like Tony Watson, kind of anchoring things up, they should be a strong unit again this year. Tony, obviously, a proven commodity. Do a great job in the 8th inning again this season.
Setting up for Mark Melancon. Ryan Braun takes ball 1. Braun is 1 for 3. 3 for 7 with a home run against Watson. Something off it, and out in front was Braun. 1-1.
They pulled the string nicely on that pitch. Braun struck out on a changeup back in the 1st inning. Sadler, same thing to him.
A little change, and Braun knocks it foul. It's 1-2. Lind on deck. If the Brewers are planning on anything here in the 8th inning, these are the guys they want up, but Tony's got to get through them. 2-2.
You never know for sure how it plays out, but doesn't it seem like more often than not it's the 8th inning guy that has to go through the middle of the lineup?
Funny how that works. Is that coincidence? You
We
think?
used to talk about that a lot when Grilly was the 8th inning guy. You remember, it seemed like he was always having to go through the.
They face the teeth of the order.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But it's luck of the draw. You don't really know. It depends on how the game went. It requires 7 innings. That's what determines it. You never know how that's going to end up. But you do know that nowadays that there's specialized roles in all bullpens. Not only a closer, but you have guys that pitch certain spots. Somebody pitches the 8th inning. A lot of teams will have even a 7th inning guy. You have the guy that comes in and pitches if there's a situation where you might need multiple innings. You have the guy that comes in when you're looking for a ground ball and a double play. There's all kinds of roles out there that everybody plays.
What about if we look ahead? Maybe it develops into a situation where it doesn't have to be the 8th inning or the 7th inning. Maybe you get a guy in late innings who's just going to face the middle of the order.
Well, who knows where baseball's headed.
It's possible.
I mentioned the other day, talking on the radio, that the bullpen's kind of like a toolbox. You don't want 7 hammers out there. 7 screwdrivers. You want a little something for different situations.
Braun has been fighting Watson. 2-2. He continues to fight with another foul ball.
Watson's kind of like a crescent wrench.
How so?
Well, because you can use him for different size bolts. He's a little adjustable. And it doesn't make much difference, right-hander or left-hander to him. He can go power. He can go up mid-90s. You just saw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but also has good command of his off-speed pitches.
They're trying to find a way to miss the bat of Braun during this at-bat. Next pitch will be the 10th of the at-bat.
The crescent wrench is durable also. You can throw a lot of pitches if you need to.
Yeah. I can say I've never heard a pitcher compared to a crescent wrench before. That's a first.
That's what the bullpen is. It's a toolbox.
Again the 2-2. And again a foul ball.
Caminero is kind of like your big ball peen hammer. You want to smash something. Bring in that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Do the smashing.
Pitch number 11 from Watson to Braun. And he pops it up. Neil Walker underneath it. He'll make the catch. Quite an at-bat by Ryan Braun, but Tony Watson wins the battle. 2 men out.
He's put way off the plate. The one you finally put in play. Furthest out of the strike zone that he saw.
Everything Tony was throwing up there was being fouled off. He figured he'd throw one he probably couldn't foul off. And he ends up putting it in play. Adam Lind takes a strike. Lind 0 for 2 with a walk. It's a good pickup for Milwaukee. A trade for Marco Estrada. Estrada going to Toronto and Lind coming here. Tony ahead 0-2. Tony shakes off the first sign. No balls, 2 strikes to Lind. And to right field, and Polanco will come in and make the grab, and Tony Watson sets down the meat of the order in order. We'll go to the 9th. Tony Watson sets down the 2, 3, 4 hitters in order. Another good outing for Tony. 2 flyouts to right, pop up to second after an extended at bat between he and Ryan Braun. Pedro Alvarez will lead off the top of the 9th inning for Pittsburgh. It'll be Alvarez, Dunn, and Tony Sanchez. Pedro 0 for 3 today. A little insurance wouldn't hurt. Up by 2 runs in the 9th. And Thornburg to start his 2nd inning of work. Put the ball inside, ball 1. It was good to see Pedro have the spring that he did. The production, 17 RBIs, led both the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. It was a tie between Pedro and a handful of other players.
Still got off to a nice start too. I mean, Pedro, if you're the guy that you really can expect to be a long ball threat. Led the league in home runs 2 years ago, and he's already got 2 first road trips. So far, so good. Pedro not liking that call, and it was out of the strike zone a little bit. Been a fairly big strike zone today. There you can see where that pitch was. UPMC strike zone shows you it was well low.
Pedro, since the start of the 2012 season, has 86 home runs, and that's just 2nd in the National League behind one guy, Giancarlo Stanton. And the other way, away from the shift, and a base hit for Pedro.
Nice piece of hitting. There's 2 strikes on you. Go ahead and shorten up. Nobody out, trying to get something going. Now, if there were 2 outs, then Pedro's job is to hit a solo home run. But right here, I like what he did. The ball is away from him. Just slap it over there and try to get an inning going. Free base hit. Take it.
So Pedro is out, being pinch run for by Sean Rodriguez. And he'll go into play first base in the bottom of the 9th. Jung Ho Kang got his first major league hit last time up. Swings the first pitch, pops it up foul. It is twisting over near the Brewer dugout, and does it have enough? Yes, it goes into the dugout, and so does Maldonado. Maldonado gave it a try. Hope he got pitching coach Rick Kranitz in the process. A good effort by Maldonado. Comes up short, and Kang still at bat. This one from the Allegheny Health Network Supermo.
Goes lunging in. Nobody there to catch him.
Tony Sanchez against the San Diego Padres. He became a verb at that point. People were Sanchezing after that. Great catch that he made going into the dugout. First base side.
Yeah, that was the other team's dugout too. You're not going to get any help there, and you know it. In your own dugout, you kind of think, well, somebody will catch me from hitting the floor, or at least slow me down.
1-1 pitch. Front 1-2.
Ray Miller was always really good at that. The Pirate pitching coach, he would get right there and save anybody. They didn't have the fences then in front of the dugouts either, so they were a little easier to get into, to fall into.
Let's go down the steps. Now you have to go over the railing. Sean Rodriguez, the runner at first base after Alvarez base hit. 2-2 to Jung Ho. A wait throw to first, and Sean dives back. It's going to be a big role for him this year, is coming in late in games, depending on the situation, to play first. Came in yesterday, played right field late in the game. 2-2, and Jung Ho pops it up. Shallow left center. Segura, the shortstop, backpedaling, called off by Gomez. This is what Sanchezing is as we take you into the Wayback Machine. September 19th, 2013. There goes Tony. There goes Tony.
There was no steps there to fall on either. I mean, he flipped right on his back all the way down to the floor.
Tony, a career high 3 hits in the game today. 3 for 3. All 1 to Sanchez. .429 in the early going. Making his second start of the season today. Throw to first, and Rodriguez gets back. Plenty of time. Nick Schofield across the diamond. Third base coach. He and Nick Leyva have flip-flopped duties this year on the bases. Nick over at first now. Here comes the 1-0. Tony looks at it up high. 2 balls and no strikes. Thornburg in his second inning of work. Josh Harrison a day off today. He'll be back in the lineup tomorrow in Pittsburgh.
Hopefully Jay Hale get that stroke back with the day off.
Does he ever not smile, by the way?
And scuffle? No, he's always going to be happy. Maybe when he swings at a bad pitch to strike out as he's walking back, that's the only time you'll see him not with that smile on his face.
Here comes the 2-1 now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jay Hayes got plenty of reason to smile. A contract extension for him announced during this trip. While we were in Cincinnati. 4 years with 2 option years, and the contract goes into effect now, superseding the contract he had for this year. Two to Tony Sanchez.
That was a nice shot there of some important players. All 4 of them together. Walker, Kutch in the background. Jay Hayes sitting there. Pedro putting in his 2 cents. It's a close group. It really is. Been together now for a while, having some success.
3-2 pitch. Rodriguez goes, and Tony belts one to left field. It hangs up to Davis. He drops it. And the Pirates with 2 men on and 1 out. Just a bullet to left field, and Davis couldn't hang on.
You know you've hit it hard when it's too hot to handle to an outfielder. Wondering if that big window they have above the first base dugouts up high, could that have been a problem for him? The line drive definitely didn't look the ball to his glove at all. I can see his face. He's still looking toward the infield a little bit. Maybe just took his eye off it.
So an error charge to Davis.
Both sides, you see, that's the window I'm talking about. And as you get toward the late afternoon, the sun starts coming right down through that window. Now, I don't know today if it might be a little overcast or something outside. I have no idea. But it is a lot brighter when you look up at those windows when you're looking everywhere else. got those windows up there trying to get some sunlight in on the grass at times.
Rodriguez at second, Sanchez at first. A nice ovation for Corey Hart as he comes up to pinch hit. Was a Brewer for 9 seasons. And he swings and loops one over the head of Lynn in the right field. Rodriguez will be waved home. Sanchez goes first to third. And Corey Hart with a pinch hit RBI single. It is 5-2.
Yeah, that's a nice little insurance run that they were able to knock home. And remember how this all got started. It was with Pedro, taking a 2-strike approach and just knocking a little single through that left side that was unoccupied, beating the shift to get things going with that leadoff base runner. A breaking ball that Corey actually kind of pulls off of a little bit here and gets it right off the very end of the bat with just enough steam to catch the outfield grass. That almost actually bounced on the dirt. It was only inches out onto the grass.
Well, Corey Hart has pinch hit twice this season. He is 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs, and both of his hits have been on the first pitch.
Yeah, I like that as a pinch hitter. You get up there, you got to get aggressive.
Polanco fouls this one off.
There was an old, I'm thinking maybe it was Crowley, maybe of the Orioles.
Boom, right on the head of the backswing.
Somebody that was a real good pinch hitter, and that they had a theory that you never, when you're pinch hitting, you never take 2 pitches in a row, and you never take a fastball. You just go up there and you get real aggressive when you're pinch hitting. And I think there's something to that.
Well, so far, it's worked well for Hart.
Well, there's certain situations, game situations, if you're down by 5 runs and they're sending you up there to pinch hit for somebody, well, you might have to take a strike and give the pitcher a chance to maybe help you out, get a little wild, whatever. But for the most part, you get up there and try to get yourself a hit.
Polanco down the right field line, and that ball hooks foul.
Boy, that was about 3 decks up.
Wow.
Hit up above the clock. That would be the 3rd deck in the stadium.
I realize it's a foul ball, but it was an impressive one.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the clock is. That's the 3rd deck here.
Long strike for Gregory. 1st and 3rd, 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strike pitch from Tyler Thornburg. And he strikes out looking. 3rd time Polanco has gone down on strikes. He is 2 for 5 rather. Base hit, a double, but 3 punch outs.
Trying to go upstairs with him and ended up throwing it about mid thigh, right on the outside corner.
Two outs for Jordy Mercer. Mercer singled and scored in the 6th. Jordy's been making some loud outs too. 2 line drives over the last few games. Mark Melanson getting loose. Mark will pitch the 9th, try to close this thing out.
He's that real sharp wood chisel that you got.
Oh, I see. Back to the toolbox.
So he's the guy who just carves people up. Throws the cutter.
I'll have to write this stuff down someday. Two bunch, top of the 9th. 2 men out, 2 on. And Mercer ground ball up the middle. Tony Sanchez will score. RBI base hit for Jordy. It's 6-2.
Just moving the line along now.
RBI number 2 for Jordy.
That base hit sent a few folks home. You said he's hitting some tough luck. He hit some balls real hard, didn't get anything for him. This time he hits what could have been just a routine ground ball, but it was well placed right up the middle. Tony, a nice little pump of the fist, and that ball made it over the mound.
Kutch takes a strike. 2 on, 2 out for McCutchen. Mercer was on base in the 6th when McCutchen hit one out. Hart in scoring position now. 11 hits for the Pirates this afternoon. Brewers with 5. And Kutch loops one into left center field. That's down for a hit. Hart around third. Gomez throw way up the line. The Pirates get another. It's 7-2. The 4th run batted in for Andrew McCutchen today.
And one of the early problems with the offense, where we get a lot of crooked numbers up there. You see Kutch getting kind of jammed on it. Didn't sound good coming off the bat, which might end up being a good thing. Didn't carry all the way out and get caught. Was able just to fall in. A poor throw coming home.
Corey Hart getting there from second base. He's had 2 surgically repaired knees and doesn't run like he used to. He was a pretty good stolen base threat for a while in his career, but now still manages to get around the bases.
You love to see the bigger innings, the crooked numbers going up. That's what really wins ball games. You can stay away from the innings where you're just putting a one spot up here and there. That was really the problem in Cincinnati. The Pirates couldn't seem to break through and group some hits together and put up a 3.
So Rodimus Lee's now warming up with Melanson stepping back, now no longer a save situation.
I see the job has changed now, so you go to a different tool.
All right. What's the tool now?
He's a standard screwdriver.
Okay.
It's you have a guy that's kind of a long man type, extended inning guy. Every single bullpen has to have one. So
and Walker hits this one well to right field. Braun going back. He's to the wall. It is gone. A home run. Neil Walker, a 3-run shot.
Boy, this is just getting like BP here in this inning. Wow.
First home run of the season for Walker. It's now 10-2.
6-run ninth. See what a little ground ball single to start off the inning can lead to.
Last time up, Neil hit one out there, but not far enough. This time he gets it. Mercer and McCutchen come in. Pitching change. Pirates with a big ninth. It's 10-2. One that helps with a 6-run top of the 9th inning. And Walker drives in 3. Tyler Thornburg gives up 6 runs, only 1 of them earned.
Little change up that got deposited. Put the change in the brain.
Only the 1 earned run because of the error by Davis. So here is left-hander Neil Kotz with 2 outs facing Marte, the 9th man to hit this inning. Third appearance for Kotz. Marte had a tough day at the plate. He struck out 3 times and been hit by a pitch. And he's behind 0-2. Pedro Alvarez started it off with an opposite field single against the shift. And Marte strikes out swinging for the 4th time. 9 men come to the plate. 6 of them score. 10-2 to the bottom of the 9th. Infielder with 23 in a season, got number 1 in the 9th, driving in 3. They're helping the Pirates right now to a 10-2 lead. They're 3 outs away from a series win here in Milwaukee. Sean Rodriguez stays on at first. And pitching now, Rodimus Lees.
I was saying earlier, Lee's kind of that do-it-all type position down in that bullpen, that everybody has a guy like that. Kind of like what Jenmar Gomez was for us for a couple of years. It can come in and pitch at any point during a ball game. If a starter gets knocked out, say in the 3rd inning, you're probably going to see Lees come in then, and here he is pitching in the 9th to try and finish things off.
Kind of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, but you usually don't have that in the toolbox.
No.
What it was that everybody has in the toolbox. Standard screwdriver.
Lees, former Baltimore Oriole, pitched a few seasons in Korea. Charged to finish things up. Luis Jimenez pinch hitting, 0 for 4 this season. Pinch hit last night, made an out. Fouled this one back.
Yeah, you can use that standard screwdriver for some different things. Go scrape something off and whatever.
Pry things open.
It's a utility type tool.
Okay.
I think that's a good choice on my part. Sticking with it.
It's the straight edge, not the Phillips. Right?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear.
The Phillips would be Jared Hughes, sinker baller. Another thing that you have in your toolbox, you're going to have a Phillips screwdriver, but it's more of a specialized tool to get that ground ball.
1-1 to Jimenez. Popped him up. Foul ground. Sanchez over by the dugout. Makes the catch, and there's 1 out.
He was hoping that ball was another 4 or 5 feet. He wanted to show how that catch is done in the dugout. How it's made.
It's pretty close, but he knew where he was. One down. Sanchez with the put out. Chris Davis, the batter. Davis has walked twice and flied to left. Also committed the error on Sanchez's line drive out to left field last half inning. Andrew McCutchen, a 3-run home run today, an RBI single. He has scored twice, driven in 4. McCutchen with 6 RBIs to lead the Pirates right now. Neil Walker, 3-run homer. He now has 4 runs batted in on the season. 98 miles an hour from Lees. Gregory Polanco, a couple of hits today, including an RBI single, a double, a run scored. And Davis down on strikes. Tony will have to throw down to first. Umpire getting away. And good stretch by Rodriguez. Throw was a little wide, but Sean was able to make the play, and the Pirates now an out away.
We're getting to the point where you kind of have to throw it wide because the runner was getting close to the first base. Had to miss him. The reason Tony went that way, he wants to get in foul territory to give himself an angle.
Tony's had an issue or two on a few of his throws in the past. Been working hard on that. 0-1 to Maldonado, Brewers catcher. 1-1. So maybe instead of the Shark Tank this year, you call it the Toolbox.
They can tell if they want to be the Shark Tank, they can be the Shark Tank. That's fine. That's their call. I'm kind of genuinely speaking about all bullpens, really. They are. You have different guys down there. I mean, that's the whole point of the conversation. Different guys fill different job descriptions. Like the players themselves like to call them the different roles, like they're actors or something.
And the 2-2, and Maldonado. It's got a pitch outside. Check swing, says Paul Mark. Well, we are looking forward to tomorrow. Very much so. The home opener at PNC Park should be a nice day. Make sure you get to the North Shore early tomorrow. Pirates and Tigers. A special 1-hour pregame show for you here on Root Sports beginning at 12:30. Maldonado walk. Pregame show brought to you by W.B. Mason. Garrett Cole. He's already got his game face on. Scooter Gennett came up with a pinch hit base hit in the 7th inning. 1 for 1 today. And he swings and pops it up foul. That'll make the seats strike 1. A.J. Burnett will have game 2 on Tuesday night against Shane Green. And Francisco Liriano will be back from paternity leave. He'll join the team tomorrow, we understand. Alfredo Simon will be his counterpart Wednesday night. Strike 2 to Gennett. Rodriguez Lee's trying to put Gennett away and end this ball game. Pitch, and he struck him out. Got to throw down to first to end the game, and there it is. And the Pirates take 2 of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers, win the series. Andrew McCutchen drives in 4 today. He had enough himself to beat the Brewers. 6-run top of the 9th for the Bucks. A 3-run homer by Neil Walker. Corey Hart with an RBI base hit. Jordy Mercer with 1. And Gregory Polanco with an RBI hit earlier in the game. Jung Ho Kang, his first major league hit today.
We started Tim talking about the importance of this game, kind of from a perception point of view. That after starting the season getting swept, you'd like to go to the next series and win.